Good morning, traders. Today is Friday, October 8th. My name is Charles, and this is the Pirate Traders live stream. The Pirate Traders live stream. Yeah. I just had to reset my data, and it isn't quite fully loaded here. So it'll take just a second to pull that up. But okay, so we're going to be opening today inside of yesterday's range. And if we opened right at this moment, we would be opening inside the previous day's value area. So that increases the odds that the market is just going to chop up and down this morning, trying to figure out which direction it wants to go. It is worth noting, though, that just now when the payroll numbers came out, the overnight completely absorbed the entire day's range. So it traded all the way down to the low, creating a poor low, and then it turned around and pushed right back up, creating a new high, and we're kind of just bouncing around in there. So pretty much any overnight inventory, even though it's a little bit net long, has already been absorbed, I would say, at this point. So we're just looking for chop, and we're seeing how does the market react to that chop. So the important levels that I'm watching this morning, to get bearish would be to get below yesterday's low. We left behind a poor low in need of repair. So if the market were to head down to that price, that 43.8650 level, if it were to head down there, that wouldn't be bearish to me, the fact that it's heading down there, because there is a weak reference in need of repair in the form of that poor low. So if it pushes down to here, I don't get bearish unless it gets below this level, comes back up and finds resistance. Or it just continues down. This is obviously getting into the gap that we left behind from yesterday. So continuing down into that gap becomes very bearish, that they're trying to backfill that gap. Remember that large gaps often don't fill the same day. It usually takes a day or two for the market to absorb that move. So that is a very high probability thing. If we start to trade down into the gap, that we might need to fill this gap back down to 43.55. Okay, so that's the first level to watch right there. If we push down into the gap, do we immediately pull back up into yesterday's range, which is bullish for continuation higher, or do we find resistance to trade lower? Okay, so that's to the downside what I'm watching. And then to the upside, I'm going to start with kind of the overnight high. Like if we get above the overnight high, I'll start feeling a little bearish, or a little bullish in here. And then just seeing how the market handles this resistance. So if we push up into here, does that act as resistance and we can't get through? Or do we push through that, come back down, and it becomes support? The first case would be bullish. The second would be bearish, right? The second being we find resistance there. All in all, what does this tell us? What does the market, the way it traded yesterday and overnight, tell us? Well, it tells us that there's a pretty good chance that we did make a low here, that the market was happy with this low that we created. Going down, ding, ding, on 10.6, this low here. The fact that we didn't come back down and fill the gap yesterday is a little bit bullish. So if we can continue that today, meaning we don't need to come back, fill this gap, or we fill this gap and then find support at the top of the range from 2 days ago, that would be bullish, that low is a good low and that we can make continuation higher. Okay, so all in all, it feels bullish to me, the market. But it still just needs to create a good low here with the fact that we left a poor low behind yesterday and a gap below it. I know my analysis can sometimes be confusing because I talk about different time frames. So just to go back and say that again, referring to the different time frames, I'm saying if we can make a good low today, intraday, meaning we either repair the poor low and then find support and turn around and start trading back up, or we completely fill the gap, find support and start trading back up. If either one of those can happen intraday today, it will lead to a much more bullish case moving forward for the market over the next few days and weeks. And so now we just watch the chop. Choppity chop chop. All right, so this is a liquidation break happening here in the market. We can tell from the tempo of it. It was grinding and then out of nowhere just started to fall and fall. Okay, so we're trying to repair this poor low. There you go. That's the repair. So now is when we're looking for, does the market find support in here and start to push back up into yesterday's range, or does it continue to find resistance and trade lower? Finding the resistance would be bearish, that we're trying to get down there and fill that gap that we left behind. So very key level here for the market. All right. Good morning, Chris. Good to see you. Welcome. Good morning, RK Leon. Good to see you. Rainier is back with us. Good morning to you. Mangala is here. Welcome. Nick, good morning to you. Good morning to my friend from Belarus. Philip, good morning to you. Partha, good to see you back with us. Okay, so far the market's building support in here. This is good to see. They repaired the poor low. Now they're kind of doing the is it going to be support or resistance dance. But if it pushes higher from here, that means that we were building up support. We also bounced nicely as soon as we dip below that zero line back up. So it's too early to call, but it's starting to feel like buyers are stepping in here, which would be bullish if they can hold this up. However, if they start to trade back down below yesterday's range, now that would be bearish. All right, yeah, it's feeling bullish here. I don't know if they're going to pull it back down again to retest this node or if they're just going to keep it up here. But so far, this feels bullish. All right, good morning, Cine Matt. Good to see you. Noto Cactus back with us. Good to see you. Rainier, surely it seems like today will be a red day. I don't agree with that. Again, to me, this was their chance for the market to sell off. They got back into the gap. Lots of traders watching that gap for a gap fill. If they could only get a few points down in there and then they immediately reverse right back up, it might show signs that there aren't sellers in this market. Now, if they start to push back down in there again, that would be extremely bearish at this point. But I would think that this node of volume from this morning that starts at around 43.90 down to 43.86, that this should act as support now if the market's going to continue higher today. Huge miss on non-farm payroll release this morning, Rocket. I didn't read it, but of course I've read what some people on Twitter reacted to it. It seems to be mixed. The jobs that were lost in the government, not in the private sector, and otherwise there's a lot of positive news in there. So, including unemployment being down. But as always, that's why I don't pay attention to stuff like that. I pay attention to the technicals because it doesn't matter how the market reacts to the news. I'll see it in the chart. That is the point of all of this. Nicholas, good morning to you. Jose, good to see you. RK, coin flip time. No good entry. Yeah, I mean, like I said, a great entry for me now would be getting in this support down here around that 89 level with a tight stop just below yesterday's low. If the market is going to continue higher today, it should find support there. Trading back below yesterday's range at this point is a sign of a giant failure, which would mean we're trying to fill that gap much lower. Okay, which is happening very quickly. Boy, the market just started moving on us. So the market getting below this node that we just found support on there, that is bearish for further downside continuation. All right, the chop continues right now. They're holding up that support. All right, I'm getting myself bearish here because, as I said, this low, this area that we're at right now, should hold as support if the market is going to continue higher here today. If it fails, which it's doing as we speak, that is a sign that they want to try to fill the gap first. Now, they may not completely fill the gap. They might find support somewhere inside the overnight range from 2 nights ago. But it is bearish that we're back below yesterday's range. All right, I may have been early on the switch to bearish, as it seems like they're actually finding support at the low. The ticks were able to push their way back above the 0 line once we dip below there again. So I may have been a bit early on the switch here. Remember, the way you normally see that is it pushes below, it comes back up, and then it finds resistance at the low for continuation lower. Here what it did is it pushed below, it came back up, and now it's almost kind of like finding support in here. All right, well, I'm back to neutral. They're holding it up. That, of course, is bullish longer term, right? That they held yesterday's low. That is bullish for continuation higher. They're going to have to get above the opening price to really convince me to go long. But that was their chance to take it lower, and they failed. Man, these comments really build up on me. If I'm not responding, they get there quick. Good morning, Nicholas, Jose, RK, Arthur, Erman, Vincent, Tom, Jitten. Good morning to you. Hitting Dingers back with us. Good morning to you. Amir, JG, Average Joe back with us. Speedboat is here. Howdy. David, good morning, Charles. Do you consider the double distribution in the overnight in need of repair? There was no double distribution in the overnight. That right there is a giant bell-shaped curve. That is a sign of rotation. A double distribution would be if there was a break halfway in the middle of it where there was only single prints. Is Monday closing early for Columbus Day? No, I don't think so. Correct me if I'm wrong, chat, but I don't think that's the case. Donkey saying theta burn day, so he thinks the market's just going to rotate in a tight range. Speedboat, let's hit those likes. Yes, please, guys. 117 people watching, only 56 likes. Smash the like button to support the pirate. Let's take a look at the NQ. It looks like it has poor low. It does. Poor low on the NQ. In need of repair. Oh, David, I confused overnight with yesterday's profile. I don't even think we had a double distribution yesterday. Yeah, we ended up backfilling it in the J period. All right. Well, this is getting risky in terms of taking trades here. It feels like the ES is getting bullish. It feels like it found support at the low. But the NQ left that poor low behind in need of repair. And the two are kind of moving together. So that is not as strong of a bullish signal. In terms of jumping into a trade. As far as the larger direction that the market might take today, with the B period being inside the A period like this, I think just whichever way the market breaks, we'll get continuation in that direction. So if we break the A period high, we're likely to get continuation up. If we break the A period low, continuation lower. In between, chop. N can go to 4,405, then drop back down. Yeah, of course it can. If you're looking at the single print from the overnight or the selling tail up there, that's no big deal. John, I don't get the joke. More like President Biden. Are you saying to buy the market? John's got the winning strategy right there. All right. Well, my apologies, guys, that I don't have more to say here, but it really doesn't feel like the market has picked a direction for the day. So it feels like it just needs to keep chopping. Like I said, the thing I'm focused on now is which direction do we break the A period high or the A period low? Do we just stay inside the range for the rest of the B period? There's no trades if that's the case. And then printing the C period, whichever direction it breaks out, I would go with that. But until we get sort of a signal between here and here, is like a dead man zone where the market could just keep grinding up and down. And it's really hard to predict where it would go or at what point to enter and where to put your stop. So I'm just going to kind of let it grind. If it starts to get below yesterday's low, I'll jump on the short. And if we break the B period, breaks the A period high, I'll jump on the long. But otherwise, this is just a sit and watch kind of moment. Well, I don't trade options, but yeah, there are option spreads designed for this sort of movement in the market. Daniel says he's long. Large level of support after breaking the low from yesterday. I don't see it as a large amount of support. Plus, we left a poor low behind in the NASDAQ, right? So you left a reference in need of repair down there. So it still feels kind of 50-50 to me. Nathan says, classic Friday chop. We do tend to have more consolidated, tighter range sort of days on Fridays, but I don't think this is that. I think this is this market just still trying to decide what it wants to do. Excuse me a second, somebody at the door. So anyway, as I was saying, this to me doesn't feel like it's chop in that regard. Like the market just wants to spend the day stuck in the range. It feels like to me like they're just trying to decide which way they're going to break out. But we'll have to wait and see. The C period will give us more of an indication here in 9 minutes when that prints. Mir, what do I consider more for movement evaluation, the SPX or the ES? The ES is the main thing I'm looking at. They move together. So the movements are pretty much the same. But the ES is what I watch because the ES is what I trade. Amir, great question. Why the charts on the right, SPX, NDX? That is because those only calculate the regular trading hours. They don't trade overnight. And this 20 moving average that I have on here, it tends to work much better if you're only including the regular trading hours. So if I could put the futures here and just exclude the regular trading hours, I would do that. But this is just easier to put in the SPX and the NDX. But yeah, I'm not watching them for the candlesticks. I'm watching them for how they react to this 20 moving average, which has been resistance this morning thus far, by the way. And how long have I been trading? I was trading for about 4 years as a hobby and trading full time for about a year and a half. Rainier has a feeling the Bears are in control. Yeah, I don't see that yet. Like I said, if the Bears had control, they could have very easily traded down into the gap this morning. That very first time it pushed below and it came up and it started to find resistance in here, they could have taken us way down with minimal effort. So that definitely means they're not in charge. Shalom, that's not something I look at. I don't look at the way bonds trade compared to, stock futures. I just stay focused on the one indice. But yeah, I appreciate that perspective. All right. So as I mentioned, whichever direction the C period breaks out above the A period high or below the A period low, that would be a go with signal. So you'd want to go with the market moving further in that direction. Otherwise, you're just going to get chop inside this range. Feels rotational. So with that, I will bid you all farewell. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for those 72 likes. I appreciate you. Feel free to smash that thumbs up on your way out. And I will see you all here on Monday morning. If you're not a member of the Brigade, there's a link in the description. You can join for $10, and you get to hang out with me all day on the trading days. And yeah, over the period of an entire month, I should give you $10 worth of advice. So I think it's a great bargain. Anyway, once again, thanks, and I will see you all Monday morning. Cheers.